So the other day I was thinking about, trying to buy a house. I'm looking at trying to see whether or not I can, afford a certain type of house. And I was looking at all the numbers they were giving me, the property taxes, all these different things. I was looking at all these numbers and I'm like, man, this is a lot of things to take into consideration because, I'm buying a house, then I also got to pay the property tax, then I got insurance, all these different things. And then if I'm getting a loan, I got to take all these, take into consideration the mortgage rate. Do I want to do 30 years? Do I want to do 15 years? Like, there's so many numbers that I was looking at. I'm like, man, maybe I'm not ready to buy a house right now, right? And then I was thinking, I was like, it'd be pretty cool if I built a house and I didn't have to worry about none of that stuff. And what's really weird is like that kind of thinking today is not the norm. 100 years ago, let's say 150 years ago, it was the norm for men to be building houses, like their own houses for their family. It was normal for a man to say, hey, you know what? Here's my family. I got hammer. I got a nail. I got the tools that I need. I have the knowledge. Let me put my knowledge to work and build a house for my family. It was it was the norm. Like that's just what people did, right? Fast forward to today, and nowadays you would be hard pressed to find just any random guy, my age, that knows how to build a house. There's some out there, but nowadays we look at that as like, oh wow, you're pretty special. Not, oh wow, you're doing something or something that you should know. And I was, it kind of baffles me because nowadays, if someone says, hey, I'm building a house, they're not actually going to build it themselves. No, they're going to hire a company to go build that house for them. Versus, like I said, 150 years ago, maybe 200 years ago, men would just be like, if I'm building a house, I'm the one that's building that house. It's my own blood, sweat, and tears that's going into building a house. And the great thing is you didn't have to worry about maybe you had property taxes, but you didn't have to worry about mortgage. You didn't have to worry about interest rate. You didn't have to worry about the market, whether it's the right time to buy, the right time to sell. You didn't have to worry about how big of a house you could afford because it's your house. You built it, right? And another difference is I also noticed is like the way men and women have our relationships. In the older days, let's be honest, there wasn't no pickup artist out there giving game on how to talk to women, how to approach women, how to dress a certain way. There wasn't any pickup artist that was just doing that. It was just random regular guys. He'd approach a woman. He's like, hey, listen, I know how to fight, or at least I'm willing to fight. I'm pretty manly. I do manly stuff. I like you, you like me, we should get married. Then they'd have a family and raise them for be married for 40, 50 years till death do them apart. And then the family would keep on and keep on and keep on. Today, we can barely even have relationships. It's so bad, we actually have a new term called situationships. And it's even worse because now people are like, well, I'm polyamorous, meaning that I don't want to just talk to one person. I want to talk to multiple people. Relationships today are suffering more. And it's really weird because we have more information, more resources, more so-called experts, more people giving out advice, and yet people are getting married less, they're divorcing more, they're having more situationships, they're more lonely. It's like, how did our predecessors, without all these resources, make it? And then when we, as a society, with all these resources, all this knowledge, all these people that we can go to advice for, we're still failing. It doesn't make sense. But I think the reason is really because our predecessors, they were able to simplify things, number one. But number two is they saw human nature on full display. There was no social media. There was not really any comparison, right? It was just you as a man, you as a woman, y'all worked it out to make a good life. Versus today, we're trying to appeal to a bunch of people who don't even know us. We're trying to live a certain lifestyle or measure up to and be at a somewhat celebrity status, whether in our small group of friends or our towns, our city, whatever. Like, it's to the point where we got to step out every weekend to try to show out for a bunch of people who don't care about us. And I wonder what changed, like why this has become the way our society works, because it's been a recent. And I know, maybe it's not as recent as like 5, 10 years, maybe more like 70, 80 years. But in the span of history, 80 years is not a long time. We went from, men and women working together to build a better society and advancing to now we're trying to decide who's more oppressed between men and women. We went from people having the freedom to pursue life and happiness, to now people feel like they have no freedom and no rights in a system and in a society where you have more opportunities and more ability to progress in life. I truly wonder, are we really better off, right? Here's my opinion. Here's my personal opinion about it, right? I'm someone who loves to compete in sports, and I love to win. Regardless of what I'm doing, I love to win. If I lose, I'm going to go back to the drawing board, right? I'm going to find out what I did wrong, and I'm going to fix it, and I'm going to go back on the field, and I'm going to play until I win, right? What we have now done is we've said, hey, if you lose, you didn't lose because of something you did wrong. You lost because the game was unfair. So now we started doing participation trophy where everyone's a winner. Now we started doing, well, you want what someone else has and you don't want to work for it, we'll give it to you. So now people are entitled to success. They're entitled to the work or to the fruits of somebody else's labor, where no one has, well, I can't say no one, but very few people have the skills, the willingness, the zeal to persevere through hardships to find the successes they want to find in life, and they're just sitting there for a handout. And I'm sitting here, I'm looking at life, I'm like, yo, how are we in a worse situation mentally and emotionally when our physical surroundings are quite literally better? It's weird that our predecessors, who struggled a lot more than we did, somehow found the purpose of their life in that struggle. And yet when we, without much struggle, I think the hardest thing a lot of us will probably go through is trying to decide whether or not we really want to talk to that individual. You know, it's not a life and death situation. Deciding whether we want to get that Starbucks coffee, it's not a life and death situation. Deciding what career field we really want to go into, not a life and death situation. At least not really, unless you want to go and just, you know, take out student loans and not graduate from school. What career, the decisions that we struggle with are not life and death situation. And yet we're the most lonely, we're the most unhappy. I don't know, I can't say I don't know where it went wrong. I have my own ideas, but I'll keep that to myself. But I feel as if we need to take a page out of our ancestors' books and truly get back to working hard, truly get back to simplifying life, not trying to measure up to somebody else's standard, not trying to live for anyone else, but simply accepting that we are who we are. God made us in a way that works. It's always worked. Nowadays, we're trying to defy God, but our predecessors, they were like, no, we're going to work with God. We're going to do things that God says. Today, we're just like, hey, man, forget God. Who is he? You know? But, I can't, I say all this because I'm worried, you know. I have a little sister, she's growing up, she's starting to get all these influences. And I want to make sure that the problem that she faces are problems that she can overcome. I want to make sure I'm preparing her to be able to go out into the world and succeed. I don't want her coming to me and being like, Simon, why are people being unfair? Because the first thing I'm going to tell her is like, look, man, people don't owe you anything. They don't owe you success. You got to go out and get it. You got to go out and work for it. You got to go out and get what you're worth so that you can at least say you have something to show for your existence, you know? Not to reduce people to their results, but at the very least, it'd be better for you to work hard and get something out of it so that you have something to show for your life. Rather than just say, hey, I lived and I got nothing because so-and-so didn't give me opportunity. So-and-so was being unfair. So-and-so didn't let me pass, you know? I had a chemistry teacher in my sophomore year of high school, and he said a certain phrase that, you know, kind of really stuck with me, right? There was two phrases he said. The first phrase was, I got an A. We were talking about grades in the class. He said, there's two different phrases I want you to hear. The first phrase is, I got an A. The second phrase is, the teacher gave me a C+. The reality is this. The student, they got the grade they got. In one scenario, the student took responsibility for the fact that they studied and worked hard to get that A. In another scenario, they blamed the teacher for why they got a C+. Here's the thing. In life, we all have the opportunity to succeed. And that success may not look like everybody else, but we all have the opportunity to succeed. we can either do the things that we should do and more and try to get out of it what we can get out of it, or we can do the bare minimum and get mad when we get back bare minimum results. Reality is this: whether you blame yourself, you take responsibility, or you blame somebody else, it is your life. And your life is a result of decisions that you've made. And if you want to have a good life, make good decisions. It won't always work out, but the overall result will be something that you're proud of. But if you just want to have an easy life and coast, but you're full of desire for greater things, you're going to have a horrible experience, because you're going to feel like everybody is against you. The cards are stacked against you. You're going to feel like the world owes you something that it doesn't truly owe you. You're going to feel like you're being oppressed because so-and-so may feel some type of way about you due to your skin color, your gender, whatever. All right? I say this to whoever's going to watch this video, whoever needs to hear this. You got to get over it, man. It's not just about you. The world doesn't revolve around you. The world isn't so focused on you that it's stopping you. So go out and get it. Go out into the world, work hard, see what you want to do. Because in that struggle, there's a lot of beauty. You'll make great friendships. Heck, you'll probably find the love of your life. But if you avoid it because you're trying to look a certain way, if you're shying away from doing the things you have to do because it's not cool, it goes against the trends that you're trying to follow, I promise you, you're going to have a horrible experience, because you're always going to be subject to somebody else's opinion, and that is not a life worth living. I promise you. No one wants to live that kind of life. You want a good life? Do the things that you know you should do. Trust God. Follow the right way. And focus, and not focus, but learn from the people who have already made it. Humble yourself enough so that you can be teachable. And when it comes time for you to teach somebody else, tell them the whole truth. Don't try to hold that success in for yourself, but don't be afraid to share it. Anyway, that's my word. That's my video for today. I don't know who needed to hear this. I don't know who's going to watch it. I have no clue. But I hope whoever watches this video that you're inspired to go out and get it. And listen, you may not believe in God, but I promise you He believes in you. That's why He created you in the first place. That's why He gave you life. He gave you that desire to succeed, that desire to push through, so that you can be a reflection of who He is and the plans and the goals that He has for every single one of us. And if you truly want to live your best life, I would recommend you get to know who God is. Dive into the Word. Find a church where they preach the Bible and nothing but the Bible. Don't go to a church where they're trying to talk to you about something else that's not in there. You know, I've heard a lot of sermons about this, that, and the third, and when I went to go look it up in the Word, I didn't find it. All right, but focus on God and try to find out who He is. Get to know Him and find out the things that He has in store for you. And I promise you, there is no better life on the planet ever than the life that God has planned for you. All right, guys, my word for today. Deuces. I'm out.